Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joyofbaking.com. Today we're going to make a pound cake. This is a really nice cake. It has a golden brown outer crust and it's rich and buttery with a moist and tender crumb. To start, preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 180 degrees Celsius, and then we need a loaf pan for this pound cake. So what I'm going to do, you can either butter it, lightly butter it, or I'm going to just spray it with one of these cooking sprays. And then I dropped it on the floor, but take a piece of parchment paper, or you could use wax paper, that fit the bottom of the pan. And then sit that in there, and then just either butter or lightly spray the paper. And that way the pound cake can easily release. It won't stick to the bottom of the pan. And then to start, we need to take 3 large eggs and put that in a bowl. And have your eggs at room temperature. And 3 tablespoons of milk. You can either use whole or even 2% milk, reduced fat. And have that at room temperature as well. And 1½ teaspoons of vanilla extract. And try to use a pure vanilla extract because there's a lot better flavor than the artificial ones. And then I'm just going to use a wire whisk to blend all these together. Now the original pound cakes, the reason that it has its name is you usually, the original recipes had 1 pound flour, 1 pound sugar, 1 pound eggs, and 1 pound butter. Today we tend to lighten that up because that produces a really dense pound cake, and this one is a lot lighter in texture and taste. So that's our wet ingredients. Now if you have a stand mixer like this, use the paddle attachment, or you could just use an electric hand mixer in a large bowl. So we're going to place the dry ingredients in the bowl. I have here 1½ cups, that's 150 grams of sifted cake flour. So that means you first sift the cake flour and then measure it. And to that, I'm also going to add 3/4 of a cup, that's 150 grams of granulated white sugar, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. That'll give us a little rise to the pound cake, and just 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then I'm just going to blend all these ingredients together on low speed, maybe take 30 seconds to a minute. Simple enough. And to this I'm going to add 13 tablespoons, which is 1/2 plus 1/3 of a cup of unsalted butter. That's 185 grams. And make sure that your butter is at room temperature. I mean, really quite soft, as you can see here, because we want it to blend into the dry ingredients, so it has to be really soft. And I like to cut it in small pieces like this because then it blends in easier. And you can use, I like to use the unsalted butter because I prefer the flavor, but you can use salted if that's what you like. But try to use a good quality butter because a pound cake is all about the butter, and that's where most of the flavor comes from. So the better the butter, the nicer your cake will taste. And to that, I'm just going to add 1/2 of this egg mixture. And I'm going to beat this on low speed just until everything's all blended together and incorporated. So this is what you're looking for. You want everything to be moistened from the butter and the egg mixture. And now what we're going to do is increase the speed to medium, and we're going to beat this for about a minute. If you are using an electric hand mixer, I would beat it a little longer than that. But I actually set a timer to 1 minute and have it on medium speed. So just scrape down the sides. Now what we've done with this is the beating it for 1 minute has aerated the batter, plus it has developed the cake structure, which is very important because we don't want to, when we put it in the oven, we don't want it to rise and then collapse. So beating it for that length of time has really started to develop the structure. So now what we have left is we're going to add half of the egg mixture we have left, and we're just going to beat this for about 30 seconds at medium speed, and this will strengthen that structure and aerate it a little more. Okay, and then I'm just going to add the last little bit of egg. And I'll scrape down the sides, make sure everything gets mixed together. Okay, and we're done. As you can see, this is a beautiful looking batter. It's nice and silky smooth. So just pour it into your prepared loaf pan. Okay. And then you can just use, I'm using a little spatula here, or you can just use the back of a spoon. Just kind of level the batter out. And then I just like to tap it a few times just to kind of get any air bubbles out. So we're going to put this in the oven for about 55 to 65 minutes, or until it's nice and golden brown and a toothpick inserted in the center will come out clean. Now what you need to have ready is, I have a piece of aluminum foil here, and just take a little bit of butter, and we're going to just lightly butter this aluminum foil. So after about 30 minutes, if you find that the pound cake is over browning, then put this aluminum foil over the top. And the reason I'm buttering it is because you don't want it to stick to the pound cake, and then you'll take off all that really nice golden brown crust, which we don't want to do because it's kind of the best part. So 55 to 65 minutes. So our pound cake is now done. As you can see, it has a lovely golden brown crust. A toothpick inserted into the center will come out clean. And pound cakes have a crack down the center, so if yours does that, that's perfectly normal. So just let it cool on the wire rack for about 10 minutes, and then we'll take it out of the pan. Okay, so now we're going to remove the pound cake from the pan. Just take either a knife or a flat edge spatula like this. Just run it around the inside, so it releases from the sides easily. Okay, and then take another wire rack, put it over the top, and then just flip it. There we go. Now sometimes the paper did release from the pound cake because I had sprayed it. If it doesn't, and it's the paper's on top of the cake, just gently peel that off. And then I don't want the pound cake to stick to the wire rack as it cools. So what I'm going to do before I invert it is just take a little bit of butter. And you could spray it with one of those cooking sprays. And I'm just going to rub the wire rack. And then I'm just going to flip it back like that and just let it cool completely. You can cover and store this at room temperature for several days, or place it in the refrigerator. It can last for about a week, or you can even freeze this. So until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joyofbaking.com.